Collaboration is the only way to solve really big problems in an organization. The lone genius is a myth. There is no singular lone genius that's done anything. In fact, all of the great solutions I've ever seen in my career were created not just by 2 people or 3 people working together, but surprising teams working together to change the world. And it's not just a sense of collaboration. What we're talking about here is disruptive collaboration. This is the idea as a leader, you take your courage and you convince yourself to disrupt the current set of conversations going on at your company. To create a team, and I want you to ask yourself, who has a stake in the outcome? And then when you get the answer, ask the question again, who has a stake in the outcome that's never at the table? Then once you get that answer, I want you to say, who has a stake in the outcome who is forbidden to be at this table? Because I'll tell you something, real solutions in this world come from unholy alliances, surprising conversations, uncomfortable partnerships where you as a leader grow into your shoes by taking everyone in the room from meism to weism. Here's a study, and I love this study because this will solve a key problem in your life, meetings. Meetings are the root canals of corporate careers. They're horrible. They're an hour, they're 2 hours long, and what do they usually end with? Well, that was great. Let's have another meeting in 2 more weeks and do this again, right? That's the result of the average meeting. At Deeper Media, we study this. Here's what we learned. On the average, when you put together a meeting, and it's an average of 90 minutes long, and you just have your group, your silo dwellers, as I call them, you usually walk out of the room with the next play and agreement to do work on it 20% of the time. The other 80% of the time, it's an excruciating process that leads to another meeting, or as I like to call it, half a root canal, okay? What our research says in 186 use cases is that when you bring a second perspective into the room, sales plus marketing, you increase your chance by 50% that you walk out of the room with the next play. Because people with different perspectives, they have a different story they tell themselves about what works. They have a different set of constraints about what will never work. They have a different set of best practices. And let me tell you something, you and your company don't become obsolete. You don't get disrupted because of what you're thinking is out of fashion. You get upended because the constraints that you're living under change. Now you can do it. All the best practices you've lived on don't work anymore because we moved to the cloud. Everything changes, and as you increase perspectives, you increase the speed at which you solve problems. We found in the research that when you bring in a third perspective, say sales, marketing, and operations, it goes up 100%. Now, instead of walking out of the room 20% of the time with the solution, it's 40% now. But here's the idea. It's like the Beatles. The number is 4. You got to have Ringo. Got to have Ringo. Even though he has an idea for a song. But anyway, you got to have 4. So think of it as sales and marketing and operations. And if you're a bunch of old geezers, bring in a millennial. And that perspective will blow your mind. You got 4 now. We've learned that you walk out of the room over 80% of the time with the next play and commitment to work. Because the wider you go, the faster you solve. When people are alone, they are frightened in the face of adversity. But when they collaborate with other people, they're a team. And it changes their sense of courage. And it's important for you to show the courage to convince people to create what I call collaborative webs. Not just meetings in the silo where you compare notes and patch the status quo and preserve the way things are. I mean collaborative webs that go widely across the enterprise. Talking to the land of no. Engaging with the world of slow. Doing deals with competimates. The most courageous thing you express as a leader is the idea that you tell your people when you get stuck, I want you to go wide. Don't tell them to think outside of the box. Tell them to solve outside of the lines. Now Now, when people talk to me, they say, so what you're saying is break down the silos. And I got to take a second. I was talking to Rachel about this, last night. Folks, please stop using grain elevators in your silos analogy, because that's not what they are. You can't knock down a silo. That is, I got to tell you, that's really naive. It can't be done, okay? Do you know why there's silos, which, by the way, are underground, built to hold missiles from attack from the out? Do you know why you build them? Two things: budgets and objectives. As long as you give a human being a budget and an objective that's going to be measured, they will build a silo. Here's my promise. When you encourage your people to create these webs, what they do is they build underground tunnels between the silos. When I see truly remarkable organizations today in 2017, and I've studied many of them, Salesforce is a good one, Tesla is a good one, Wegmans is a good one, SAS Institute is a good one. This is what they figured out. One problem at a time, courageous leaders have fostered disruptive, collaborative webs, and they've connected the groups together and created an organization driven around a common shared vision.